Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sandy Merritt with Action Coach Bluegrass, where I'm a business coach. I am also pleased to be an employee engagement coach with Engage and Grow, which is another global company that we're affiliated with. I'm joined today with Mark Handley. And Mark, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Sandy. My name is Mark Handley. I am with Incipio Workforce Solutions. I am also the Director of Training and Development for that business, in addition to being a certified Engage and Grow Global Coach.
Mark, I wanted to just share some ideas with people. We're in this strange new world of COVID-19, and things have changed. We know that employee engagement is a challenge at the best of times. How do you think COVID-19 has affected employee engagement today?
I think it's shining a light on the businesses that already going into the crisis had a pretty strong foundation of engagement versus those that did not. I think the requirements around remote work, social distancing in the office if they're operating, and even businesses that are operating might have leadership teams that could still be going into the office, but they are sticking to their desks or their own personal offices, or they could be working remote. Which I think if you go back and you think about the fundamentals around engagement related to people feeling connected to the work that they're doing, understanding how their role fits in, having that trust and the ability to effectively communicate and collaborate with their peers on their teams. I think all of those things are being stretched to their max as people are being asked to continue to perform their core job functions without that face-to-face piece that they might have fallen back on in the past.
Do you feel like employees are distancing themselves, or are they reaching out more?
I think they're definitely reaching out. I think because of the momentum that was happening, a lot of businesses, particularly a lot of senior leadership teams, realized that they needed to communicate the position of the business out to the groups. And I think in some cases, this was the first time that employees saw some of that communication coming out of some of those top line groups. And what I think is happening is that the employees, the front line, the middle managers, the people who are keeping the operation going from day to day are really hungry for that information from the leadership team. So they are definitely wanting more of it. And I think a lot of those business leadership teams are trying to figure out how to make that work. Now, you could argue that if they had a lot of those strong communication models in place before, this would be a way to just kind of merge that in. But I think in some cases, businesses didn't have that very strong communication flow going. They pushed themselves to do it, and now they're trying to, in essence, build the plane as they're flying it, which can always be pretty challenging.
So do you have any tips on how to engage remote workers?
Yeah, I think that what we're doing right now with Zoom or GoToMeeting or Google Meet, I think these are fantastic tools. I think because almost everybody has smartphones now, it's very easy to get those things set up and have those communication and set the schedules around it. Even if you don't have a lot of new information that you feel that you want to communicate at that point in time, just getting up in front of those individuals in a virtual format and talking about what you're doing in the business, even if you don't think it directly impacts them or it's not something that they necessarily need to know to do their job, because of the amount of fear, fear over the virus or fear over job security, people are very hungry to hear from their leaders in the business. I would urge the leaders to get out there and do it. Even if it's awkward and even if you don't have all the answers, it's okay to say, hey, we don't know that exactly, but we're following up on that. We'll get that information and then we can get back with you all tomorrow.
One of the other things I've been encouraging people to do is sprinkle in a little bit of fun. Make sure you allow for some socialization at the beginning of a meeting. Just have everybody check in about something not work related. Maybe have coffee together in the morning, just like you would walking into the break room when everybody gets their cup of coffee and catches up. Do that same thing virtually. Mark, is there any good news that you see out of any of this?
I'm a silver lining person. I think a lot of times when the business world, either through the introductions of new technologies or certain situations that might change the way that businesses are having to run. I think even when it's really awkward initially up front, businesses will figure out ways to adapt. The strong leaders in the business will help to bring the rest of the people on board to figure out how it goes. The silver lining that I'm seeing coming out of all of this is that as leaders continue to communicate with their business, they communicate with their clients. If they're ramping that up because they feel they need to right now as part of this understanding of COVID, when the dust settles on all of this and the new normal arises, a lot of these teams are going to be very accustomed to getting a lot of their information directly from their senior leaders. And I think if the senior leaders can continue to do that, even though they don't have to under the guise of a pandemic or essential work and what's going to keep running and what's not, I think those expectations are going to change. The process of trying to get information out to keep people feeling focused, business owners are going to see the value in that, and hopefully they'll integrate that into their business as usual models once everything settles down.
Can you just give us a quick overview of the Engage Grow program?
Sure, absolutely. It is I think the technical term that we like to call it, it's a group activation system. Without getting too deep into the science behind it, it's really about working with functional teams in a business or a senior leadership team in a business over an extended period of time. Normally, you're talking about 12 consecutive weeks, where those businesses are learning how to ensure that the behaviors that they model in their business are aligned to the values of their business. Values are aligned to the mission. Everybody understands their role and how it works. There's a big emphasis on building trust and effective communication, getting comfortable speaking truth to power. There's just as much ownership in these programs with the people who are being led as the people who are actually doing the leading. So it's a great opportunity for people to come together, look at what's going on in their business and what deficiencies are there, and then working together as a team over an extended period of time. The reason why I put a lot of emphasis on the extended period of time is bad habits take a while to break and good habits take a while to develop. And once you start to get the momentum going with teams in a group activation system like Engage and Grow, you really start to see the positive changes happening. People have worked together for decades, but they really don't know the person that they're working with. What is it that motivates them to come in every day? What do they get excited about with the business? People get very comfortable talking about people's performance strengths and people's opportunities. So feedback becomes more of an everyday thing that happens versus an event. A lot of businesses like to say, okay, now we're going to do feedback. It's our yearly process. I would much prefer businesses and organizations to look at feedback as something that needs to happen every day. But in order to do that, people have to feel confident that what they have to say is valued and that what they're doing is going to support and strengthen the business. So it's a little bit different. It's definitely not a 2-hour workshop. Hey, let's sit in here and let's talk about what we want to do. And then people go back and then slowly, well, sometimes within a matter of hours, you're back into the mix. The extended, frequent, ongoing piece, I think, really makes a big difference in that people can, through a lot of trial and error and feedback from their peers, really create a much stronger team when it's all said and done. And then that can then cascade down to other parts of the organization.
And it can be done virtually as well.
Most definitely. I will admit that I probably would have been hesitant. I'm a face-to-face guy. But I think, again, with necessity being the mother of invention, now that a lot of people are using these virtual tools, it's a fantastic way to engage. I think people who probably would have been a little bit closed-minded to doing virtual team building sessions, now that their teams are remote and they're figuring out a way, how can I build my team and ensure collaboration? They're using tools like this. We've seen the impact and the benefits of getting the groups together in this type of a format and having a very structured and focused facilitated sessions, to help those teams. It's definitely valuable right now.
Okay, last question, Mark. If somebody wants more information from you on Engage and Grow, how do they get in touch with you?
You can reach out directly to Sandy and I. Will have our emails available here, and we'd be happy to sit down and talk about what your needs are and how we could help to put together a good plan for you.
Thanks so much, Mark. I wish you and your family good health and have a great day.
Same to you,
Thanks.
Katie. Thank you so much.